Hello and welcome to this quick review of this Marin Alpine Trail 7 2021 model. Let's do a quick overview of it, talk about trying to buy a bike in COVID, some of the features on here. It's not a ton of information because this bike came out relatively recently. As usual, please, if you find anything useful on this channel, please consider like and subscribe. Appreciate it. Marin Alpine Trail 7, a pretty great value in a bike. COVID. So hard to buy bikes. I sold my 2019 Trek Slash 9.8 the other week. It was a good bike, but maybe not quite suited for some of the bigger downhill stuff I've been doing. So I've been trying to buy a bike. I got a great price for selling the bike and sold it in a snowstorm at -20 in February, which is unheard of here in Alberta. But trying to buy a bike is hard. I knew it was going to be hard. Virtually every bike shop in town is sold out of everything I wanted. Mail order brands like Commensal, they were saying maybe April, May, maybe. And they've had major delays before. A lot of bikes are saying October, September. I tried to look at a Giant Rain. They couldn't get that. These Marins are back ordered till September, October. There's no drivetrains apparently and stuff. So there was this bike. It's an XL. This is interesting. So I'm 6 foot tall. I got a 32-inch inseam, but pretty long arms. You say to yourself, Alex, this has a 1297 millimeter wheelbase. Is that too big for you? Well, because it has a 78-degree seat tube, which is the bomb. I've ridden some of these. I rode my friend's got a custom steel bike, a crush bike. So awesome on the really steep climbs we have here in Alberta. The thing is unbelievable. Feels like you're on a Stairmaster. The thing is so vertical. I used to have a Trek Slash 650B that had a drop fork, and it gave you a really nice climbing position. My Slash with a 72-degree seat tube, it was too reclined. It was no good. So I wanted this really vertical seat post. There's a few bikes you can get it. The Marins are a really good value. I have one of their road bikes. I've got like 15,000 K on it. Just an aluminum bike. It's been totally cool. There was a local dealer. This was like the last bike they had. There was either a $7,000 carbon bike or the value is great. Let's go over this real quick because this in Canada is a $3,500 bike, in the US even cheaper. The paint quality is really nice on here. It's actually a way better looking bike in person. I like the Marin underneath there. The welds look pretty good. Again, really progressive geometry, 63.5 degree head tube. I've ridden a Sentinel at 64. It's a little dead at low speed. Like the handling doesn't really come alive until you're going really fast, and it doesn't deflect on like really chundery stuff. 78 degree seat tube. They just keep getting steeper, and this thing is the business. I love these steep seat tubes. 175 dropper, which you get on an XL, and a really low insertion height. Once you've ridden a low dropper bike, there's no going back. A lot of the older bikes, the kink in the seat tube was way higher, so there was only so much you could insert. The Slash could only barely fit. Barely a 170. And the 150, I couldn't even get it down in the post. It was rough. So we got the modern geometry. This is what you want. What's the spec on this? This is a pretty low spec bike. Low spec for still like a high-end mountain bike. We got these V-tire flow snaps. Now generally I have Ride Maxxis tires. I really like the Assegai, which I'll probably get for this, but these have huge knobs. Like, these things are gigantic. The rubber's not that soft. The reviews vary online, but they got a pretty good casing. Nice sort of Minion DHF style. I think they'd probably be fine. Most reviews say they're a decent tire. For what you get, you can get way worse tires on a bike than these. Pretty good. Yeah, RockShox Yari, brand new 2021. This is basically a Lyric. Has the same Lyric chassis on there. The Debonair air spring, but it's got their motion control damper in there. What I'll probably do is get the Charger 2.1 dampener, which basically turns this into a Lyric. It's not that expensive, but I've ridden a motion control before, and it was totally fine. A decent thing. Marin's got their own wheel sets. These are a double wall, 30 millimeter internal width. The bike shop I bought these from said they work pretty well. Shimano hubs, the essence of reliability. And sweet, sweet Shimano 12 speed. Man, I can't wait to try that thing out. It's supposed to be the Bizzle bomb. That'll be really awesome. These brakes, these are Shimano's 420, so a 4-piston brake, but they have a non-servo wave caliper. What does that mean? Basically, XT, SLX, Dior, Z's, Saints, they have a little cam in here. It ramps up the action on these, which give the Shimano the real on-off feel. I'm pretty used to them. I had Saints on the last bike. So these have a more linear stroke, which a lot of people will like, but doesn't ramp up the power quite as bit. Honestly, for most riding, they'd probably be totally fine. I'll probably get bigger brakes for it, but they're not necessary depending on your weight. What else we got in here? RockShox Select Plus. Interesting shock. So I did some research on it because most of the shocks I have piggybacks on them, which have more oil in them. Because when shocks work a lot, oil gets hot. Oil gets too hot, you lose all your dampening. So these shocks are kind of made for like a smaller chassis. You pretty much put anything you want in here. You put a coil or whatever. But the lower end bikes come with this. But it's still a very nice shock. They totally redesigned these, I think, a year ago, so that it has the same internals as the Super Deluxe. It just doesn't have the remote reservoir, but it's got rebound select and pedal beam positions, which is what you want. These things are supposed to be really plush, and you can get the Megneg, which is a giant negative air sleeve. I think it would be a totally fine shock. I may end up changing it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. FSA cranks, totally fine. Really good spec. Really good spec for the money. Nice looking saddle. You know, it's a really nice looking bike. For the money, for a non-mail order bike. Oh yeah, look at Angry Bear. So angry. Arr! That's because in Marin County, California, you can't ride any of the trails. They're all private. I went there. I was really surprised. Anyways, really good. You really don't need anything. For us, I just need a smaller chain ring for it because 32 tooth doesn't work. I ran a 2650 before, and I'll probably go lower. Everything's so bloody steep out here. But this bike is great. 200, 180 rotors. I don't know if these are metallic pads in here sintered. Put some sintered pads in, you're on the shred machine. My plan is to change a lot of these parts for some slightly fancier stuff, but realistically, it's probably not going to be much better than what you get already on this bike. A killer value, a huge wheelbase. I used to ride, my 650B was XL. Everyone said I was crazy, but I got completely used to it. XLs are way harder to sell for some reason, but you can upsize because the standover on here is so small. Like you can stand on these things no problem. The reach on this, it says it's like 500. It doesn't feel that big. It's got a pretty short stem, and you can put the seat forward a little bit to shorten that up. But you get incredible stability and downhill radness when you get a real long bike and high-speed stability, and you can actually buy them. COVID is insane. I messaged lots of bikes for sale on Pink Bike. Nobody would even return my messages, which is really annoying. You can't buy new bikes, or they're massively back-ordered, or they promise you a date. Are they going to come? I don't know. But one thing you can do is get an XL. You can go up in size, but I don't like going down in size. Anywho, pretty cool bike. Can't wait to get it out on the trail. I don't have any ride impression, but the shop I bought it from, Bike Bros, the ride impression was pretty good. I think it's going to be a little bit dead at lower speed, but really open up once we get on the big shred and the big downhill trails. Really good spec for the money, and it leaves you a significant budget to put any part you want on this and sell the old parts to make an outrageous machine for the price. It's really nice to see Marin doing that. I like them. They're a cool brand with their Angry Bear. I like the road bike, and really looking forward to it. It's just coming off being 30 below here, so 2 more months. Anyways, what's your impression? What do you think? Good value, buying bikes in COVID. Why? Why do I see so many bikes for sale that have been ridden 4 times by teenagers in the basement receiving stimulus checks? I didn't say that. Who said that? You said that. Anyways, see you on the next one.